Yo. So in this video today, we are going to go over the flex rolls. And what do I mean by flex rolls? So generally for Semrah, I have my champs broken down into three categories. I have supports, DPS, and then flex. So what can flex be? So generally on the new guild boss, you have like a stunner, a debuffer, a attack booster, a tank usually, or a pseudo tank, and then defense reduction or a damage reduction taker, like so somebody that lets your team take less damage. So out of all those five, I'm gonna be kind of combining all those, and we're gonna talk about my top five list. We'll talk about some comparable heroes as well, because I get everyone's not gonna have them on the list, and also like this list, uh, there could be champs that with awakenings that are just far superior. Like I know like a lot of people are running Lust, and she's also bringing you a considerable defense down on A1. Not going to be mentioning the Awakening champs. If they have like an artifact, like that lets them do something else, like it maybe apply stun for chance. So we'll mention that as well. They're not on the list, and then I'll go through some honorable mentions as well, like we did yesterday. So first off, I have a debuffer on the list, and it is a new champ. It is Ares. Uh, so Ares can really fill two roles for you. Like he can be a budget Torador. He's got that high HP, and he's just overall kind of tanky. But what he's in there to do is just essentially break down the defense uh, from his basic attack. It's a 20%. I think it goes higher, doesn't it? It might not. Yeah, so just 20%. He's bringing a vulnerability on there and on the ultimate, which is a 30%. And then that's 40% trigger chance as well. So your debuff times are going to be pretty crazy. I know he has some awakenings that speed him up as well, but just off the base Toror, he's going to bring a ton of value to your team, especially if you're running already an existing Nightmare comp. You will have that physical damage boost go through the roof with your your arrogance and your lust. If you're running Deimos, maybe even, you will see so much improvement out of those physical fighters with having somebody like Ares on the team. Uh, should have constant debuffs. There are definitely other replacements for him. One of the honorable mentions I would like to mention is another epic, and it's Estrid. I currently actually run her in my team. She does an incredible job keeping the defense down. I think it's like a 30% chance as well for the defense reduction. Yep. And if you get her swinging fast enough, yeah, you should have a pretty consistent uptime. So number 5 on the list is going to be going to debuffers, mostly for like defense reduction. Because once you get into like the Aegis stage and stuff like that, breaking through those shields is a pain, and having somebody that can reduce that defense is huge on the team. Next on the list, we are going into the stun category. And I think this is probably the most budget-friendly option we have at the moment, and that's Nazim. So Nazim has a chance. He basically essentially maxes out your stun bar every time you need to for the Death Saw portion of that fight. You should almost always be hitting 12 stacks with him. If you have like a good enough Rage Regen on him, like if you're running like a Semrah, he should almost always be cycling back to where you can get it every time if you need it. But he's in there solely just to stun. Like I said, incredible budget option. If you're needing somebody like on like one of your lower teams, like for APOC 1 or something, definitely recommend throwing him into the team. I've seen him quite a bit in APOC 2 just because he's so effective with the stun. He's also a great morale candidate to have on your team because he's not going to be doing much damage to begin with. So if you could have him boosting damage with that morale set as well, definitely a great option for that. But I would highly recommend building him if you haven't yet. Along the lines of stunners, I'm not going to mention this one yet. That's the only reason I didn't put her in the category. I don't even know if she's in the thing here yet. Is Helga. I think Helga is going to be, depending on your team, if you need a platform or a ground fighter, Helga is going to be the other option. So you could either use Helga or Nazim. She will be an incredible stun target once everyone finishes her fusion. Hopefully, you are finishing that fusion because I think she will be pretty much a great addition to most people's teams for Guild Boss 2. So definitely would recommend building her out. Like I've used her quite a bit on Forerunner. She's my stun target now, like or my stunner now, and she's always maxing out the bar as well. So highly recommend building her. But I didn't mention her yet just because no one really has her yet, and I know quite a bit of people have been using Nazim, so she was definitely the honorable mention here. Okay, so next on the list, number 3, we have the attack boosters. And for this one, I chose both Constance and Dolores. It's the same thing with these two. It's really just filling out what you need on the team. Personally, I prefer Constance. I think she makes it easier for your platform units to get into the correct places. Like yesterday, I was mentioning running a Dolores and a Sadie is very difficult just because no matter how you place them, somebody's going to be out of place to where they're not getting the full benefits of those platform units. So having a fighter or a tile unit like Constance, it makes it that much easier. The buffs are easier to spread out. It's easier to get everyone in line to make sure they're getting all the right either like damage reductions or whatever it may be, the cleanses or any of the certain heals. It's just easier that way. So that's why I mentioned both. They're both doing essentially the same job. Constance does a little bit better on the healing, and then she could also be like a pseudo tank for you as well. I've seen people do that as well. They'll run a little bit higher HP, just so she can tank some rocks. But for the most part, I think most people are just using her as a full attack buffer. There's super high thresholds, especially once you get into APOC 2. And I think the more attack you get in there, the more attack boosters you have in there, the better your run's just going to turn out. Um, so yeah, number 3 on the list is definitely the attack boosters. Uh, After that, we go into probably one of the most weird ones on here. This one is going to be the tank units. Not every team I get it has a tank. A lot of people are running like pseudo tanks with fighters or stuff, but for the most part, I think Toror is without a doubt the best person to have because he's one of those units that fills multiple roles. He's your tank. He brings the debuffs. Um, he's easy to keep alive. He's got the immunity, so it's just he's bringing so much to your team. He's bringing the Lord faction bonus as well. So he's an incredible unit here. He's also bringing stuns. He just does so much for the team. It was hard not to put him at number 1, but I think the other 2 units, once you see them, you'll understand. So he's definitely not necessary. There's other units that can fill it. Like a lot of times you'll see like people running the Orums. A big one that's come out in the past few weeks is the Azor with his exclusive. His ability to tank and stun is very good. That was one that I wanted to mention as well because he's like one of those artifacts that the exclusive artifacts that really boost that unit for this content. But overall, I think as far as the tank goes, Toror is the best. There's no question. I don't think really anybody would argue with it. You look at the scores, you see Nightmare for a reason. They've got great damage dealers. He's getting the awesome faction bonus. And like I said, he's filling so many roles with his kit. He's got the debuffs, the stuns, the tankiness. It's awesome unit to have on the team. So number 2, without a doubt, Toror. Like I said, the honorable mentions for that could be like you have the Captain Reeves. You kind of seeing him go away a little bit more now. Livian's another one that we saw for a while. And then I think the last few weeks, as far as tanks go, like the big ones have been generally Aurum, which was very surprising at first, especially if you're running like a full Infernal team. You're getting the extra burns from him, so it could help your potential Sulkadins or something, or whoever is doing burns on your team. If you have like a Hex that can extend burns and deal more damage, that works. Or you have like the Azor, the filling the Nightmare faction with the stuns and just the tankiness overall. But like I said, that one is an exclusive that you need to have for that. So he was not mentioned on this list. The final 2, and I think probably the most important role on the team, is going to be the damage reduction role. and that is going to be filled by both Volca and Alistair. So Alistair has, when reaching full talent stacks, each basic attack inflicts damage reduction. This books out to 30%, so you get the 5 and the 10 additional, and man, does this keep you up. So you have this one from him, and then from Volca, it's on one of her talents. She inflicts the attack decrease or damage reduction. There it is, by 30%, and both of these debuffs are huge. Like, we go look at pretty much any of the APOC 2 teams. A lot of the APOC are running both of them at this point. We look at the world rankings, so you got Alistair. Oh, he's just running the single Alistair. But you got Volca, Alistair, Volca, Alistair, Volca, Alistair. They're blowing both of them on here. They're just trying to max out the possible reduction that they're going to be getting. And I think it's definitely viable. You have Alistair, who actually is a great DPS along with bringing that debuff if you're running that Praetus comp. But you also have Volca, who is like the exclusive is massive for this too. If you have the exclusive, definitely be here because you're in that Scarlet Ferment permanent. So that damage reduction is super consistent when that comes into when that artifact comes into play. So yeah, I think it is definitely the most important role in this, especially once you start trying to push into APOC 2. That's why you're seeing these teams run both of them. I'm assuming they just want that uptime, because I know they don't stack, but that uptime for as long as possible is really probably what they're trying to do. Because if it comes down just for a second, it could really change your run, especially once you get into that very late game. But yeah, this list, I had a few honorable mentions. The first one being Lucius. I think once he is fixed and he is doing his proper dispel, he is probably going to be more important than both Nassim and Ares. It'll be somewhere around the Constance level, honestly, what he's bringing, because he was going to totally change that Aegis wave production for people, because I know personally that's where I'm struggling, is just getting enough damage to get through it at the moment, but I'm hoping he is the key to my success there. I saw one person earlier, it's 37, I think I mentioned him in another video. So he's not only getting insane damage out of him, he's getting like 250k, 260k out of Lucius, but he's also getting the benefits of the little bit of benefits of his dispel. But I think once that becomes more permanent, we are going to see a lot more of these top teams running him. I think at that point he'll just basically fit into a lot better. And then with that Layla buff coming as well, I think we could really start seeing the Watcher faction become super viable, because you have great champs like Constance and Alistair already in there who are great for this to begin with, and then you could see Lucius coming in there to do damage. So we will definitely see some Watcher takeovers coming in the future. But that is going to be all for this one. If you guys have any comments, let me know in the comments below. If you don't like my list, let me know. Let me know why. I do think the past few weeks I've spent a ton of time in Semrah, so I have a general idea, good idea of what's going on, but I would love to hear your feedback. Like, comment, subscribe. We're getting close to that 1,000. I would love to push for the 1,000 followers here soon. Thank you guys for all the support lately. It's been crazy. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.